So it was summer of 2024, the perfect time to go cycling and adventuring into nature, and especially into my local cities. Not just to eat something, but for the sake of adventure also. And I was hyped as fuck. Already on the first days, in the first couple of weeks, I began making these routes on Google Maps that I would pursue on my journey towards adventure. And man, was it a lot of fun. I remember that I would in the morning record these videos, then read some pages of books that I had on my books list at that time, and then I would spend the entirety of pre noon just looking through all the different routes that I could take. And not just the regular asphalt roads that the cars were driving on, I meant like the real field roads that were covered in dirt, that were sometimes muddy during the winter when it would rain, for example, those kinds of roads. I didn't want to disturb the cars, of course. And after a couple of hours of thinking and theorizing, I managed to plan out the perfect route for adventure that I took 5 times more during summer. And man, was this route perfect for me. Basically, it had all the points that I wanted to explore that I'd never truly gone over. It had some parts of my local city where I even attend school in the first place, where I never been to in the first place. It had some more field roads that I've never gone over in the first place, which I was really excited for. It had new sightseeings that I was really excited for. And the main reason for what I was doing this was adventuring in the first place, but not in a self improvement obsessive way, like, oh yeah, I need to go out every single day and adventure. No, I actually wanted to do that. Not in a bad way, just to discipline myself, but because I was actually motivated to go outside and go this huge, like 40-kilometer bike ride just for the sake of it. And so, yeah, I told myself, bro, this is gonna be so much fucking fun. You're gonna see so many new sightseeings. Good job for making this plan for yourself. At least you won't be at home stuck all day. Good job for expanding your creativity and being interested in your local area. You're such an awesome planner if you actually put your brain cells together, TR. Good job. Don't worry, everything will go swimmingly. You won't get a defect anymore, and if you get, just remember you have spare ones in your backpack, so that shouldn't be a worry. And plus you have a pump, so yeah, you've got nothing to worry about. But of course, nothing is perfect, and there was only one thing that I had to worry about. You see, I had no other choice but this route that I was taking, in like the 30% of the actual route itself, was this like aqua park that was really famous in my local city for being like the hotspot for like the, slum people. You see, there's this aqua park in my local city that has a really cheap entry fee. Like I'm talking like only 5 euros for like the entire day when it comes to adults. It's that fucking cheap. And when you realize that other aqua parks in Slovakia, the average entry fee is like 10 euros for children, and for adults, it's like 15 euros. So yeah, it's like the hotspot of the slum people of my local city, and especially the Roma population of Slovakia. Yeah, so there was a high chance that me, a person who is kind of well off and who has a nice electric bike, was probably gonna get jumped. And don't worry, of course, I didn't overthink it and canceled the entire journey just for that one factor, but I still prepared myself mentally if that actually happened. I was imagining like all the different scenarios, like, what if there will be like these four Roma guys that will jump me through like the bush, or they would jump from the tree onto me and steal my bike away from me. Ha! Literally, I was even planning out to keep my keys in my pocket so that I would just pull them out and start fighting on the spot. I was literally prepared for the battle of my life. But of course, when it comes to street fights, it is never good to fight in the first place. You should always aim for fleeing. Not because, in an ego way, like, Even if you have a woman in the future, like, she will think less of you. No, no, no. I have so many videos in the past of guys trying to protect their loved ones from slum people, and they died on the spot because they got stabbed in the neck. Yeah. So it's always best to run from those kinds of people. And yeah, my parents, they were afraid of me also because they know what kind of threats can face me on this journey. And so, you know, one may think that just for this factor alone, they might cancel the entire journey, or they'll find another route, which I could have easily taken, but the journey was already way too long. It would take me like 3 hours to complete. Keep in mind, it was like 40 kilometers long, so I didn't want to change it just because of those Roma people. And what if they just don't show up in the first place? Like the chance of that actually happening, that someone would be that fucking stupid to jump me is just so fucking low that I wasn't even gonna think about it in the first place. And so the day came, and I actually went out. And so I completed the first 10%, saw the local pump where I got my first defect. If you watched that video, you already know. Then reached the 20%. The heat was getting slowly to me, but I had a lot of water, so I was fine. And then I reached the local dam where the aquapark was located. And I reached the 30%. And I had two options. There was this like cycling sidewalk that I could take that would straight up take me to my local city. Or I could turn right and I could go through this like forest that was near the aqua park and extend my route a little bit longer, which was the route that I was gonna take anyway, like into the forest, of course. And wouldn't you fucking guess what? As I finally crossed the road and got onto the cycling sidewalk, I looked 30 meters in front of me, and there was like a 30-year-old Roma guy that was walking towards me. Now keep in mind, he didn't look like he was gonna attack me. No, no, no. He had his head down and he had his hands in his pockets, and he wasn't like running towards me. He was just normal walking, and he wasn't even getting nowhere close to me. Like, if I had just stood there for like a minute, he probably may have gotten to me. But he didn't look like he was hostile at all. No, he was just going on about his day. But still, I just told myself, yep, there it is. But of course, the first thought that I told to myself wasn't that, oh yeah, he's gonna attack me. No, 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 I just thought to myself, see, this is what is gonna happen. Of course, you'll encounter them. That's just inevitable because there's a lot of them in here. But of course, they won't attack you because they rely on the government to fund like their lives. So of course, they wouldn't be stupid enough to actually stab you through the neck and make you bleed out on the spot. And so I just took the normal way that I was gonna take anyways, through the forest. And I just thought to myself, yeah, don't worry, he's not gonna run after you. And the entire time that I was driving through the forest, I was telling myself, oh, will there be a Roma guy hiding behind a tree ready to stab me? But not in a anxious way, of course. Just making fun out of the entire situation because of how ridiculous some people may actually view it. Like, I guarantee to you that with my past self, from like 3 years ago when I was 14, he may just, you know, take a whole another route just to avoid this threat in the first place. Like, there are people out there who would legit miss out on the beautiful nature that I saw. Like, don't get me wrong, even though there was this like really low chance that the Roma guys were gonna jump me through behind the tree, the fucking nature, like near the aqua park, like the forest, it had to be like the most beautiful, the most spectacular view of the entire bicycle ride. Like, I was so happy that I went there. Like, oh my fucking god. And don't worry, I didn't saw any Roma guys for the rest of my trip. But as I was slowly driving home for the rest of my trip, I was just asking myself, how many people are actually out there who have ideas like me, who want to go on this adventure, not just in the physical sense, but in the mental sense, like to discover themselves, to push themselves mentally every single day, just the general path of self improvement. But they might not never do it in the first place because they are afraid of factors like being judged but by all of their relatives who they don't even look up to in the first place. They are afraid of the muscle soreness and they are afraid of ripping apart their muscle tissue and getting cramps and stuff like that. They are afraid that if they start meditating, gratitude journaling, visualizing, journaling, and all these good habits that will improve your mental health, that they will be judged and they will be ridiculed for it. Like, oh yeah, look, Johnny is trying to meditate once again. What are you trying to do? You're something like a Buddhist monk or something? They genuinely let these negative thoughts take over their entire reality and they don't adventure. Like, think about it. If you're watching videos like these and willing to improve and willing to actually take care of yourself and forge a better future for yourself, then I'm not trying to ridicule anyone, but you're a part of the 1% of the most because you're not afraid of going against the majority. Think about it. If you randomly spun the wheel and picked any other random guy from my local village that I live in, think about it. Yeah, sure, there might be some of them who would actually take that route, but they wouldn't feel as excited for it as I was. And like the 99% of the guys who live in my hometown, they wouldn't even try it in the first place. And they might even shorten it to like 5 kilometers at most. They wouldn't even try to go past 20 kilometers. Like they would stop at the slum aqua park and they would turn back right away. But what you must remember is that if you actually approve of this route that you want to take to forge a better future for yourself, then that means you're 100% confident that it will work out for you. Keep in mind, before I actually took this trip in the first place, I was planning it out for hours, but not in a grindy way, but because I was actually motivated to do it. Like, I did it in my free time, and it took me like 3 hours to find all of the field roads that I would take. And so, I already had a great idea of all the different roads that I could take. Like, even if that Roma guy in the story, even if he charged after me, I would have just turned around. I would have just drove back. Like I had so many different options that I could take, not just to the forest, but I could also go to completely the other direction into like the other village that was there, and then I could possibly even lose him because I could take like so many different routes in the village and find other field roads that I could take. The possibilities are infinite. So, if you have confidence like this over your plan and a mastery such as this, like you have idea about all the different roads that you could take to avoid this danger, then you won't be afraid of anything. Okay? So, most of the time, the reason why you're so anxious about these plans is that you don't have everything truly planned out. And once you do the research and you look through all the different possibilities that you could take, then you actually can allow yourself to be confident. You can allow yourself to focus on the good things. And that's where positive affirmations come into play. During the entire story, do you think that I was thinking about for the first like 29% of my trip that I was gonna encounter some kind of Roma guy, like at the 30% mark? Of course not. I was just thinking about random thoughts that got into my head, like the book that I was reading and other stuff like that. And whilst I was basically complimenting the nature, I was, deeply meditating onto it like, wow, this is so beautiful. And it was the trees, the green nature, the fields, they were perfect, which was perfectly what I needed from an adventure like this. And when I encountered that Roma guy in the first place, I analyzed him meticulously, and I determined that he wasn't gonna be a threat at all. So I just turned right into the forest and just went and continued my day. Because do you know what is really interesting? If you focus on the bad things, they will actually happen. If you focus on the fact that you didn't study as much, then you won't study as much in the future. And you won't actually be confident in the knowledge that you've learned from like your theory. If you actually overthink about the fact that you have this illuminating danger in front of you, that someone might actually jump you, then it will happen because you will attract it. You will start to subconsciously prepare for it and you will transfer that energy onto other people. And, they will take advantage of that if they're actually that stupid. So focus on what you can affect. Of course, you can affect the fact that you can run away from him, that you can cycle the other direction. So focus on the all the different escape routes that you can take. And if he runs after you, then you can outrun him because you have a fucking bicycle, of course. So get the mastery over all of the different field roles that you can take. And then you can use positive affirmations. You can then remember what you started for. Of course, it was the beautiful nature and the sake of adventure. And then you can focus and meditate on those facts instead of the illuminating threat. Okay? So that's the power of positive affirmations if they're applied perfectly, if you have an actual confidence over your plan. If you want to join a community where we discuss our mental health and full of like minded men who share the same values as you, the same likes and dislikes, the same goals as you, who are becoming the best version of themselves every single day, and will be in a state of healthy competition with you, but at the same time, they will give you advice whenever you need it, then you can join our Discord clan in the description. I know that if you're watching videos like these and willing to take action, and actually forge a better future for yourself, then I know that you have way more potential than you think you have. So please, let not this potential go to waste and join us on the path to greatness and stop being held back by the 99% of people who constantly criticize everything about you. Because if they criticize, then that means you're going in the right direction. Because they're actually envying you for something that they themselves are afraid to do. So good job. But besides that, you can like the video, you can subscribe if you like, join the email list in the description, and get yourself a free ebook about mindfulness. Comment on which part of the video you liked the most, and which part of the video you will implement in your daily life. If you are interested about the mindsets that I teach you about in this channel, then you gotta wait a little bit longer, because I have something huge coming that will completely change your perspective of your reality, and that will completely reform your entire mental health. Okay? It is something huge. Don't forget to join the clan, you're still invited, and become a part of the family. And with that being said, thank you very much for watching this video, keep your eyes peeled, and remember, no one is better at being you.